Oh, Heavenly Father, come into this live, in this recording, so that I may touch others with your message and bring peace and good news to them today. In Jesus' name, amen. Hello, and welcome to this morning's message. I better turn everything off. Okay. I am Tiffany, and I want to talk today about peace. My goal with this daily message is that it bring peace and encouragement to you. The world feels so filled with anxiety and depression, and all of our worldly systems seem propped up to engender more anxiety and depression. So I make it my goal to come and bring comfort to you. And I am doing that especially today, talking about peace. Now, I have talked in a previous message about peace being a way that we connect with God in the present moment. And I want to further illuminate peace and how we have it in our lives now, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of what is going on. This peace is called the peace that passes all understanding. And as I look up peace within my Bible, I see it everywhere in the Old Testament and the New. And there are two major differences between the uses of peace in both the Old Testament and the New Testament. First use of peace is the way we might imagine it today, meaning we have rest in our soul. The ancient Greek is prosperity and rest and peace. So again, here we have another version of prosperity being peace. Our second version of peace in the Bible is to be silent, as in, he kept his peace, she kept her peace, meaning silence. Oftentimes, this refers to God being in control. Keep your peace. And I'll have to find the quote here. I just had it earlier from the actual chapter and verse. It's Jehovah is fighting your battle, so keep your peace, meaning be quiet. The exact translation is Jehovah battles, silence. And I have seen both of these be a way of attaining peace. When I have kept silent, especially when I've tried to fight in my own power, the more I seem to fight in relationships, on the phone with customer service, the more words you try and use, it's almost like the less you get anywhere. I begin to relax and let God fight my battles before me. That's when I found that whatever wall I'm up against, suddenly there's a moment where I watch it fall down and everything shifts in my favor. And all I've done is kept quiet. And in this keeping quiet, that is my act of faith. I have trusted that God is fighting the battle. I see my problem. I don't dismiss it, pretend it's not there. I don't fantasize that I'm not having this problem. I simply keep my peace and trust that Jehovah will fight this battle. And when I move into that silence, he does. And simultaneously is the feeling of rest, restful peace. that our soul is at rest, my heart is at rest. It is the antithesis of anxiety, feeling quickness and fastness, having to move quickly, and the worry that things aren't going to work out. Peace is a trust that everything's already worked out. And when we can rest in that peace, in that rest in that prosperity, then we begin to see our psychologically, our reticular activating system scans the environment for more ways to engender that peace, for ways to prop up that peace. Because when we anchor into peace, our subconscious looks for ways to prove that we are at peace. We make it our belief system. I know that peace on earth is something we say at Christmas. And when I was younger, when I was a teenager, it was probably a life verse, peace on earth. If that's, I don't even know that that's a verse. And I had, when I was offered by my family to engrave one of the Olympic bricks in Atlanta, I chose my name with peace on earth. I love the feeling of peace. It intimates good relationship with others, with other nations. And I believe that it's so important to work towards peace within ourselves so that we can become successful, so that we can have peace in our relationships, and so that we can talk to God. And recently, this brick was found at Centennial Olympic Park because while we had this put in when they first built the park for the Olympics in '96, we have actually, as a family, never found the set of bricks that we had purchased until recently. And it feels momentous that it happens now at this moment in my life when I've made a renewed effort to move toward peace, to move away from virtue signaling that I care about others, that I care about my children, from worry and anxiety. It's so easy for mothers, I think especially, to get wrapped up in the cares of this world and not share with their children the beauty of peace in our hearts in every moment of our life. Now, I like to go back to this other idea of peace, of being silent. And I have, in the past, taken a vow of silence. It was extremely illuminating. I don't remember what precipitated me taking this vow of silence, but I decided I was going to be silent for a week. And I learned a very small list of sign language, like thank you and you're welcome, which I believe I've already forgotten. Maybe you're welcome. That I used that helped people to communicate. At some point, I think I wrote on a piece of paper with a cashier when we had some issue, and I absolutely could not communicate with her the information that she needed to hear. And what I found was that it was so important to people to understand that I didn't speak. They thought something was wrong with me, that I was mute for some physical reason, not by choice. And it always disturbed people. Our use of language is so taken for granted. And I did not last a whole week. It was too difficult. But what I learned from it, I still gather to this day. I mean, it had to have been 10, 15 years ago. And it still reverberates through my communication with others because what I found, and I'm not exactly sure how I made this connection, but I saw how easily we lose communication with each other. That just because words come out of my mouth doesn't mean that somebody is listening. Now, in this format, that kind of is understood. If I can talk into this camera and it comes out on the other side, nobody has to hit play. It's up to the person scrolling through to find it or me sharing it with my audience. Nobody has to listen to this. But what about when you're in a conversation with somebody and they're standing in your face and they're looking at you and they appear to be listening to you, but possibly are not? What I found in my vow of silence is that language is very, there's a high degree of getting lost in translation from what I'm trying to say to another person's point of view. We can speak the same language. We can be from the same area of the world. We can be in the same family. That doesn't mean they'll understand me, and it doesn't mean they will have heard a word I said. Life is so busy that for us to stop and listen to each other and be silent is a luxury, a prosperity that sometimes we don't have. And while I understand the importance of words and have spoken at length on this channel about how important speaking it out loud, praying it out loud, that meditate means to say it out loud, that literally we trigger our words into creation much more easily when we say them out loud. But there is a beauty in silence as well, in this beautiful balance of the cosmos that our Creator has made. And I would ask you to look into your own life and see places where you aren't feeling heard, where you aren't feeling valued. Instead of talking more, what if you were silent and began to listen? What if instead of praying or wishing your prayers inside, you said them out loud between you and God? And instead of trying to exert your will on others around you, which can cause so much unrest, so much lack of peace, so much anxiety, and trying to get other people to understand what we're talking about, to try and see that we have a better way for them. What if, either through prayer, speaking it out loud, or even in silence, we allowed them the opportunity and the gift of listening? We can bring this listening to our prayer life and begin to hear God. I know that even in times when I'm listening to sermons a lot, say I'm going through a tough time, I'll start listening to a bunch of sermons, possibly about that subject, possibly just to kind of comfort my soul. I can drown out the voice of God and kind of lead my way where I want to hear. I want to hear what I want to hear, and so I'm going to program in a sermon into YouTube about what I want to hear. But what if God has something else to say to me? Getting silent in those moments with Him when you're reading the Bible. At the end of the day, when you're laying in bed, instead of crowding each moment with scrolling, talking with others, or watching other people's content, peace itself is about who we are listening to. And if we are listening to the wrong sources, we will not find peace. So if you are in anxiety or depression today, my suggestion to you would be to start listening, drop into a place of receptive listening. Figure out how to move into that peace that passes understanding. And if you have never accepted Jesus as your Lord, He is the key to peace. And I invite you today to tell God that He is your Lord and you want His peace. It's as simple as that. And when you do, He comes into your heart and brings with Him peace that passes understanding, even beyond the situation of your moment. Mark 5:34 says, this is Jesus talking, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be whole of your plague." You can find peace regardless of your circumstances. And it is inherent that you listen to the right voices, not all the voices in the world, not all the random people on social that have lots of advice about what to do, but anchor in to listening to the right voice. And if this message has helped you, I'd love you to consider donating to our cause in whatever amount. We are collecting for a healing Bible program to go into the prison system through a program called Celebrate Recovery to bring healing and wholeness to chemical addiction, to relationship addiction, to anxiety and depression, and all the ways that we go to find peace in the world where we don't find it. If you don't feel that you can help monetarily, I'd love you to share this message with others and help bring peace to someone else that you know and love. I appreciate so much your giving heart. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for another message.